Thanks for coming out to our second in our Front Porch Stories series. I'd encourage everybody, go ahead and find your seats because the entertainment is about to begin. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Christy Chavarro. I have the great pleasure of being the Executive Director of the Rochester DDA. Big shout out to my chairman, Mark Albrecht. Where did Mark go? Mark, right there. Hi, Mark. And a couple other board members here. Of course, the mayor is on our board. And Tony LaPuma. Yes, Tony and Bill LaPuma actually did our first Front Porch Story, and I'm not going to lie, Rob has some big shoes to fill. It's true. But if you're not familiar with Front Porch Stories, you're really in for a treat. This is a new initiative of the DDA called our Front Porch Project. We feel that the downtown is the front porch of our community, and we hear so many times that we have so many really great stories in our town and so many great people, and we wanted a venue to tell those stories. And so that's how Front Porch Stories started, and now we're continuing. This is Nick Banda, the infamous Nick Banda, if you're familiar.
Thank you. Okay, careful. Is that better?
Oh, wow, that's a loud one.
He said he gave me the really good mic. There we go.
There it is. That's a little bit better. So Nick is going to be our master of ceremonies tonight. We'd also encourage you, September 12th is our last Front Porch Story. That's going to be out at Rochester Hills Museum at Van Hoosen Farm on the front porch of the farmhouse with Museum Director Patrick McKay. So we're really excited for that one. But without any further ado, it is our great pleasure to introduce the mayor of the great city of Rochester, Rob Ray.
Right. Hopefully he's home. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it'd be really awkward if he wasn't here.
Welcome, Mayor. Have a seat.
Hey,
For those coming down the street, just stay down there. It's sold out. Oh, they're coming. All right, that's good. All right, Marion, where's Marion? Thank you for the chairs again. There he is right there. He brought his own Adirondack chairs, but these are custom Adirondack chairs from At Home Furniture, Rochester, Michigan. So you can buy things like this at his store, so a little plug, because we really appreciate what he did. And we take these around with us, and they're rocking chairs. How cool is that? So, yeah. High quality, they're great. Well, welcome, Mayor. So for the mayor, there's good news and bad news. He was on vacation until about 3:32 this afternoon. Yeah. So I came by to see what's going on, and he's out here in his polo shirt and his nice little Docker shoes, edging the grass and putting up a light on the side of his garage because it broke or something. And I'm like, really, what are you going to talk about tonight? He's like, I don't know, we're just going to wing it. I said, okay, we can wing it. Bill winged it. Tony winged it. I said, well, kind of. So that's what we're going to do. So I think every time we do this program, it's going to be a little bit different. And I talked to Christy about this, and I think what's exciting is we have so many factions in our community that we can hear stories from. But the way I want to frame this interview, if we're going to call it, has anybody ever seen Faraday, the golf guy that interviews golfers? That guy's the best interviewer of all time. So you know how he really bags on the contestant people? That's what the mayor's about to get right now. So the way I kind of, in my mind, see this working is this is kind of like an exit interview. Rob's been with the city council and the mayor for like 42 years. And I think...
Not that long.
Not that long? Oh, it's something like that. All right. He was just a little baby boy. So, but in my mind, I see we're going to talk about who he is, how he got to where he was at, what made him get here. And then in my mind, this is kind of like his chance to inspire others, young people, which I love seeing a bunch of them tonight, to think about public service. And that's what Rob epitomizes. You see, you're going to learn about his family and the commitment it takes to be a public servant. But in my mind, this is kind of like an exit interview. So you're not dying or anything, but it's just...
sounds so final.
It sounds kind of final, but it is. In December, we're going to have 3 new council people, for sure. And cities change, and they go through different iterations and leaders. And this is the first time. I've been here 10 years, and that's a big change. And Rob's been a big part of what we've gone through. So without further ado, so we're going to start with a little bit of personal stuff so we can kind of loosen them up and find out who Rob is. Some of these are totally inappropriate. I apologize. I've made my career on being...
It's early in the evening yet.
It is. So again, the angle of this is kind of like an exit interview, and then let's learn a little bit about the mayor. So number one, how old are you, Mayor?
I turned 40 in March.
It's pretty young.
You are young.
He's very young. See, that's what I was waiting for someone to say. You're very young. So where were you born?
Was born in the city of Plymouth, Michigan.
Okay, so how long did you live there?
Until I was probably close to 10 or 11, and then my parents had divorced, and then we slowly moved north through Commerce, Walled Lake, Wolverine Lake, into White Lake, where my parents live now.
All right, so where'd you go to high school or get your GED from?
There's nothing wrong with a GED.
No, that's great. You just got to follow through, that's all.
Yeah, no, I went to high school at Lakeland High School in White Lake.
Great ice arena up there. A lot of hockey players from up there. So somebody clapped for Lakeland?
Yeah,
All right, there we go. All right,
we got
cool.
some Eagles, all right.
Very good. Did you play any sports in high school?
Played football late in my high school career.
What position?
Right tackle and defensive end and special teams.
Were your teams good or they kind of suck? Or?
No, our teams, well, so I guess it depends on your perspective. Our win-loss record was not admirable. But in terms of a win, it was a fantastic experience because I got a lot of field time. And for me, it was a big part of my high school career. So
I don't want to rain on that, but usually when people don't win a lot, then they say it was a big part of their career. They get to play a lot, so that's okay. Not a problem. No, I do appreciate. As a coach, kids would say you can stay in the varsity and not play, or you could go to the JV and you could play. And check your ego at the door and go play and get better. And I agree. That's an awesome way to go. So this is kind of a joke, but where'd you go to college?
Oakland University.
And how?
If you don't know.
If you don't know. I can't believe his house is in black and gold, but
Summer drew a line.
Yeah, look at the chair Summer City, and we'll talk about her in a minute. But so Rob is like an amazing alumni and one of the biggest cheerleaders I've ever seen of any college. And I can tell a quick story. So when I coached lacrosse at Lake Orion High School, and on senior day, and this was probably up until about 4 years ago, and there was 5 years prior to that. So I remember the first senior day I had, I'd say to kids, they'd come out in the stands and all the parents and everybody's there, and I'd say, so where are you going to college? Well, I'm going to Michigan State, I'm going to Michigan. And then some kid would go, I'm going to Oakland University. It's like, why did you say that? Well, it's like I'm going to high school. By the end of, it's like another set of high school, it's not big time. 4 years later, 90% of the kids on that team said, I'm going to Oakland to be a Grizzly, and to watch what that university's turned into for our community, and I know how much of a supporter you are.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic. Matter of fact, I think this fall, the university is going to be welcoming its largest and highest GPA freshman class in its history.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good for all of them. Yeah. Marion just told me a statistic. Marion, maybe you didn't even know this, so we got to bring them to a council meeting. How many years has the men's swim team won the Horizon League in a row?
41 years in a row.
How can that be? How many years has the women's team won?
Well, the women's team hasn't been around as long, but they have won 25 years in a row, and they never lost a conference meet in their entire years of them having the squad. It's great.
That's awesome.
They have a strong aquatics division.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think that's one of the coolest things that we've got here. So, all right, next personal question. Are you married?
I am married to my lovely wife, Summer.
Summer, take a bow. She's going to sit in that Oakland University chair there.
Take a bow. She might be dead. That's her ahead of me.
So how long have you guys been married? Well, let's ask Summer first and see if you have the same answer. Oh,
I'm
boy.
actually worse than he is.
Okay, Rob, how long have you been
11.
married?
We've been married 11 years, but been together 20.
Oh, wow. He's a slow learner.
No, it was her.
Oh, it's her?
It was her. So since it's a front porch story, so
There will be stories thrown in here.
yes, yeah. So there's the story is I knew from, and this isn't boiler
PG.
this isn't boilerplate stuff. But seriously, the second I saw her, I knew that I wanted to marry her, and I was.
That's where we all say, "Oh."
No, but seriously, I was always ready, and then the evolution of the conversation became, well, first, because we met in college, both from OU. We both met in college, and you know, it was, well, let's wait until we graduate so we have our degrees and all that sort of stuff. Okay, well, let's do that. And then we graduated, and it was like, well, you know, let's wait until we get established in our professions. So, you know, everything's a little easier. Okay, let's do that. And then it was like, well, let's wait until, you know, maybe we make a career move or something like that. And so I was the one that was waiting. But in hindsight, it was probably some of the I don't know if I would say best advice, but one of the best things, because at that point, the learning process that is marriage was something that we could go through together without the burden of still trying to learn about each other, if that kind of makes sense. Like, you know, after 10 years, there's really no more skeletons left, right? I mean, everything's
Wait a minute,
out.
I can, Mark, how about, Mark, do you agree with that? See, in my mind, that, what he just described is in the dictionary, the word procrastination. Rob's picture's in there, but that's okay, no problem, you can try that. Do we have any children between the two of you?
We have 2 kids, Sienna, who just turned 8, August 13th, and then Jackson, who's going to turn 5 in December.
Where do they go to school?
Sienna,
There she is, so
Yep.
she's doing something that's dangerous.
say hi, Sienna.
Send her a wave.
Sienna goes to North Hill. She's a North Hill Owl, and Jackson is at Premier Academy, but he'll be next year. Will be at North Hill, so we'll have two owls.
2 owls, awesome. All right, so what do you do for a real job? We know the mayor's a part-time job, pays like $250 every 8 years, so it's a great gig.
I got like 3 years of mayoral pay into landscaping here in the last like 2 weeks.
Oh wait, Tony and Bill, you gotta love this. So he called me after your gig and it's like, Summer's telling me there's no way you start ripping out the landscaping and do all this stuff. And he has been out, he power washed the public walk, everybody that you're seeing. Sorry, man, that is awesome. Nobody's ever done that in the entire city. And actually then we fined them for destroying city property. That's the
I am a financial planner for UBS Financial Services in Farmington Hills. I've been there for about 15 years, and I guess back to the story. When I was first, they didn't have a position for financial planning, so they were going to make one, essentially, for me to be this financial planning coordinator for multiple offices. And they had asked me, they said, well, you know, you can, this is back in 2005 or 2006, and they said, well, you can choose your office, right? You can, wherever you want to, your home office, and you can choose. Now, granted, we moved here, so we were looking to buy the house. And they said you could locate in the office that was in the Rochester Mills, where First American Title is now, right next to it, yeah. Or Farmington Hills.
Beer or Farmington Hills?
Yeah, Beer or Farmington Hills. And I said, you know, in terms of longevity of career, I could either locate in an office where there were maybe 5 advisors and 3 support staff, or one that had 50 advisors and 40 support staff. A magnitude, you know, entirely different. And I said, well, you know, my odds are that's probably going to be the better environment. And I chose Farmington Hills. And shortly thereafter, the financial crisis came, and UBS shut up that office.
Hate when that happens.
Yeah, and moved everybody out. And then this is it's maybe 2010 or 2011, somewhere in there, just when things were kind of leveling out, at least from a real estate perspective. And my wife works in Bloomfield Hills, and so driving to Farmington Hills, that's an hour each way. We're talking about, you know, maybe we could shorten the commute and all this sort of stuff. And I said, you know, tell you what, if we, and this is just when we were thinking about kids, if we stay here, you know, I wouldn't impose on myself a personal tax, but I will drive an hour for the rest of my life to work if we can stay in the city of Rochester to raise our kids. Because Rochester has what I grew up with in the city of Plymouth, and that's what I want for my kids. Because that's, I don't know if it instills something in you, a sense of community, right? And you kind of always have that, and that was a sense of longing I had when I went to Oakland University in terms of trying to find a place to put down roots. So I said, tell you what, if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. I gotta drive about twice as far, but I'll do that if we can just stay here for when we have kids and never look back.
How cool is that? That's what you want to hear. And that's what we want to hear the next generation of folks moving into town. And that's part of all of our jobs as stewards of this community from every board and commission that's in this town is to make sure this is a place that people want to raise their family and then stay and then go into Mount Avon and hang out for a while. So it's all good. So we got that figured out. So all right, so that was kind of heavy. So let's go with what's your favorite music genre?
Oh, so this sounds so canned, but I really don't have one.
Oh,
I know. So in my during my college years, I worked for Bose Corporation. They make really small speakers. People familiar with those? The wave radios? Okay. So I worked for them for 7 years under Dr. Amar Bose when he was still alive. Fantastic man. Worked for them, and in part to working there, I was exposed to every type of music genre you could imagine, and fortunately grew up having an appreciation for it. So I can't really say I have like a favorite. There's not a lot that I maybe like death metal or something I wouldn't want to listen to.
Christy, he doesn't like death metal.
or some of these
That's
things.
my genre, but that's another story. So. I was supposed to be at the Slipknot concert, which is another whole story one day, but we had a council meeting, so I didn't get to go. So, all right, so okay, but you have to have a favorite band. Tony, I think Bill and Tony said like
so tell you what, let me
Stairs.
let me put it this way. One of my favorite musicians, okay, not a band, one of my favorite musicians is Edwin McCain. Am I familiar with him? The guy's like a fantastic guitar player.
Yeah, I think you just made that up. No?
No, not at all. Actually, I saw something, he was going on tour. He's not coming to Michigan. I was totally bummed because like that is a guy, I don't go to a lot of concerts. If I go to a concert, usually it's because, summer night, it's a date night, it's a thing, but I don't go to a lot of concerts. Like, I would want to go see that guy play just for the sake of seeing him go see him play.
All right, that's a deal. All right, beer or wine?
Beer.
I knew the answer to that. All right, so bicycling or running? There's something to do here with the running story coming up in a minute, but go ahead.
I don't know, it's a coin toss. I mean, it depends on how far.
That's fair. All right. Boxers or briefs? Okay, Summer, what? Sorry, I will skip that one. All right, so what year did you guys move to Rochester? I know you started talking about that in the beginning.
Well, I mean, depending on, so the city proper, not until we bought the house, and that was in like '09, but I commuted for a semester or half a semester to OU from White Lake to OU, and I figured, I'm like, this is for the birds, because that's like a 45-minute drive, and I am not going to define my college experience by being stuck in traffic trying to cut through Pontiac to get to class on time. So, I mean, you could say like 22 years ago.
So you didn't live on campus, you made that commute every day?
For half of the first semester, and then I moved to apartments that were just off campus, and then I've lived in the greater Rochester ever since.
All right, so how does a young man get from OU into politics? So I was thinking, were you active in college campus affairs?
I have no idea.
I think I do, but I'm going to get through it in a minute.
No. So I don't consider myself a politician in Italy, because I think if you consider yourself a politician, you're defining some set of outlook or something like that. In terms of the way I look at community service, it's really just about problem solving. So I think that kind of bucks the political type. I wasn't active in politics or anything on campus, not student congress or anything else. I was an active member of the student body. I was a member of Sigma Pi Fraternity International on campus. Did lots of volunteering, volunteered with every Greek social, the academics wouldn't have me, organization.
Did you get kicked out at any time?
Yeah. But no, I was just, I don't know if you'd call me like a busybody, but, at that time, which the population of on-campus students at Oakland University is increasing, so it's becoming more like a traditional university in a sense. But even back then, there was still a lot of commuters, and I was bound and determined to not get stuck in the commuting mindset. I had to be busy on campus. Keep it down back there.
This neighborhood, they torture the kids, and then they don't feed them or anything. But that's not very nice. They all want the cookies, and somebody said, Taylor said, no, you can't have any cookies. So, no? Okay, that's not true. All right. So I talked to Christy a little bit about this, and I remember a younger Rob Ray, and something about you wanted to have a 5K race, I think, right around Christmas, maybe around the parade or something, and you were told no by the DDA. I think you were told no by the city council. I think actually the president of the United States that year told you you couldn't do it. And I think that ticked you off, and then somehow you started kind of hanging around. Is that anything to true? And then I remember something called I Run Rochester. So you...
Yeah, so...
Wayne has a t-shirt.
No, my first, Christy and the DDA never told me no, but my idea was...
I was very nice. The chamber told him no.
Oh, the chamber. I'm sorry.
It was council. I remember Kim Russell, Mayor Pro Tem. Hi, Kim.
Jeff,
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff, did you bring any beer for him? He said he likes beer. Okay.
The idea was I started getting involved in trying to organize fundraising for small local nonprofits, like the organizations that have like 1 to 3 people, and they're doing everything they can just to keep the thing alive and try and get the next generation, younger college kids involved and try and lift and all that sort of stuff. And so I had this thought. I saw something about the Detroit Parade and the Turkey Trot, and I thought, like, holy cow, we have this hometown Christmas parade. How are we not doing something like that? Like, that is a no-brainer. I mean, it's a laydown, right? And so, well, that's as simple as it sounded. And then I got it.
Sherry Heine came out of the woodwork.
Yeah, so I can't remember if they gave me a hard no, but anyways, I started looking into it, yada, all this sort of stuff. I had some people help me organize and everything, and I remember coming with a dear friend, Sue Siragusa, who's involved with a local running club. It's called Your Pacer Mind. It's a fantastic group. They run out at the park. If you're thinking about getting running, that's the place to go. Super nice people. And she's like, well, I'll help you organize a race, because I didn't know how to. Then I said, okay, so let's do this. And ultimately, we need to file this special event application with the city to get approval. And then it goes on the city council agenda, and then you got to go to city council. And so I went to city council, a city council meeting with her, and I had researched all my numbers, like the expected attendance for, and I'm just pulling this up. I might just make
3. I think it was 3.
Yeah, making it up. But like the expected attendance was like twofold of what the people said for the Detroit Parade or something like that. So I'm thinking, like, how are you guys expecting to have twice as many people, and you're not taking advantage of, like, this is just ludicrous, right? And I went in this whole sales pitch of, like, why the city needs a 1-mile running of the elves, I think is what I called it, or something like that, like right before the parade, right? Like right down Main Street. They got it blocked off. It's perfect. 1 mile. It's not a 5K.
Did you ever see an elf try to run with those little curly shoes?
That's
me. That's just flat out me.
Hopefully you people, everybody can kind of imagine this in their head. Like people are dressing up, and it's a fun thing, and yada yada yada. So I go through this whole thing, and I remember current council member Ben Giovanelli had said, fantastic, whatever. If you ever need a gig or job in sales, come ask me. I'll hire you on the spot, which was kind. Mayor Pro Tem Russell said, you have an absolutely fantastic idea if you'd consider just doing it any other day than the parade.
That's like hell no. That's what you say.
Yeah, no, it was the kindest. You should do this, but just realize your limitations, right, in terms of the amount you got to climb. And so I took those words to heart, and we did it the Saturday before on a different trail, and it was fantastic.
Rochester Hills, where they didn't care.
No, it ran through the city, and it benefited a local nonprofit called Paint a Miracle, located in downtown Rochester, if you're familiar with them. It was great. We had more people than we expect. I mean, it was crazy. It was a wild success, even with some hiccups. And yeah, so that was my first entree, if you will, into local government.
And so then I remember this I Run, Rochester. You had like, you vowed to run every race in the world in 1 year.
I did. Well, no, it wasn't. I committed to. I said for the Rochester Area Youth Assistance, I would donate. It was like 50 cents a mile or something like that, and I committed to running every 5K in or that went through the city of Rochester.
That's what it was. Okay.
And I made this T-shirt, and people could buy T-shirts, and they could write the name of the race and their time on the back and all that sort of stuff.
And in the garage is the box of T-shirts if anyone wants one. You can have it when we leave.
Yeah, it says 2016.
Yeah.
It's a going thing. I have a couple extras.
So how long you been on city council?
This will be my 6th year.
How long you been mayor?
This will be my 2nd year.
So how'd you know it was time to hang up the gavel here? So in the beginning I talked about Rob's leaving, Kim's leaving, Ben's leaving, and Ann's up for re-election. She's out there, Ann Peterson. And so how do you know, I asked Kim this today, how do you know when it's time to let the next group come in?
For me, it was retrospective in the sense of so think of like a 3-legged stool, right?
Oh, Mark. Jeez,
Yeah.
Mark's liking that. That's Mark Albrecht. He's got a 4-legged stool now, too.
Yeah. So, if you think it in that, or at least maybe, pillars that make up your life, you have your family, you have your profession, and then you have, a silo or a leg that's filled up with all the other stuff. Maybe it's hobbies, maybe it's sports, maybe it's a whole bunch of different things, maybe it's community service, public service, you name it. And my wife, Summer, will attest to, if I get involved in anything, it is borderline reckless enthusiasm.
Psychotic.
Yeah, like the commitment level. And for my part, being on city council, I thought that's what it required. And then when my fellow council members supported me to become mayor, I thought that was even more of what it required. And if you do that, it's, there's 24 hours in a day, right? You can only skin that so many different ways. You can't make more hours in the day. You can't make more time. You can't, there's only so much to divide. And so ultimately, after some period of time, something comes lacking. And for my part, that's, the city, my profession, and then my family has been patient while I've served the community. And I think you do as much as you can while you can. Try and make an impression, try and set some momentum. And then you realize, at some point, to continue doing it at that level starts to become unsustainable without someone paying a great price. And that's not something I want my family to get. That's why I think about these nationally elected officials. Like, I gotta believe their families only exist on paper, because I don't know how you could possibly do everything and that. And so you just do it for a time, and then you need to, as Kim has pointed out, you're only as successful as your successor, and so you need to set a tone and a cadence, hopefully that other people can match, and then it's not like you're leaving. It's not like I'm disinterested in the city anymore. I'm still gonna have plenty of stuff to occupy my time. But you need other people to step in, right? And that's how you cultivate the next generation of leadership and the next, city council. And you got to keep the ball rolling. You can't get stale.
I agree, and I think, first of all, how about a hand for Summer and the family for giving us Rob for the last 6 years? So I've been a public servant for 40 years. My dad was my example, and he was one for 50 years. So a little bit different. Elected official, I'm getting paid to do a job, and I made a career out of it, and very thankful for that opportunity. But to what Rob just said isn't exactly an attractor to get people to run, but what he said is if you bookend that with a reasonable amount of time and give it all you have when you're there, just like you said, go in and all out, and then set that pace, that cadence for the next group to come in. And I think that's why this town is so successful. We've had a history of elected officials that have kept a pretty even pace here. And I know there's people that like this, the way we're headed down the line here. We talk about, and this was big for you, Rob, I know, sustainable Rochester. And I don't want to get into too much boring stuff, but this planning commission and this city council adopted a program called Sustainable Rochester, so that when future developers come into this town, they have a series of checklists that they have to prove to us that we're right, our needles right at noon, right? And anything they do better make us a better city than just taking the tax dollars. There's many communities in Oakland County, Wayne County, Macomb County that if you came here with a development, you're going to get approved because they need the tax dollars. We're blessed to have a solid tax base, but we're not stupid. We know we need to compete. So, Rob, under your leadership, I appreciate that we made it an even playing field for anybody coming in. The developers know what to expect. The community will know what they should be evaluating, what we're evaluating development on when these folks come in. And some you're going to like, some you're not going to like, but you were a big part of that, and I appreciate that. All right, back to the stupid questions now. So, true or false, I heard you became a priest while you were mayor.
I became ordained before I was mayor.
Because I know that you married my neighbors Scott and Stacy, so
Right.
either you were moonlighting as a priest. How do you do that? As
No,
mayor?
I had some friends that wanted a very small, intimate wedding with just family, and I don't know why, but they asked me if I could do it, and naturally, your first inclination and an opportunity like it. So I love weddings. I think weddings are fantastic because it gives me an opportunity to.
Honey, I love weddings too, don't I? No, but you have to dance, then your wife yells at you if you don't dance. Like it's a.
No, well, it gives you an opportunity to kind of like relive your own in
Oh.
a sense. So I was like, sure. And then I thought like, well, there's got to be a way to do that. And Universal Life Church, if you subscribe to 3 things, basically you believe you believe in love, hate doesn't have room in the universe, and like something like. Basically, 3 things.
Beer.
Yeah, beer, not wine. 3 general things I think that anybody could ascribe to. You click a mouse and poof, you're ordained. And
But as mayor, you have the authority.
as-
Now, this was the cool part. I was trying to get to the part where you're mayor and you get to be.
oh yeah. So then, as mayor, anywhere in Oakland County, I can officiate a wedding. I've gone as far as Walled Lake. At the cost of only $25, you'll receive a very charismatic officiant who's willing to customize your vows as you see fit and color coordinate with the colors of the wedding. I like to go. All the ladies like that one.
I don't relate. No, I have a nickname for you. What is it? Do you remember?
No.
It's like Mr. Dress Up, because if you see Rob, he's always crisp, and I always tell you that, don't I? Your hair's crisp today, his suit's so crisp. We're all.
I don't remember the Mr. Dress Up part.
Yeah, it's something different. So, oh, that's behind your back. Sorry. All right, so cornhole or
Cornhole.
broom ball.
Cornhole.
So I have evidence, folks. Watch this. I had to hide this so he wouldn't see this. Oh. So what does this plaque say? You can read
Oh,
this.
yeah.
This is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, so this was the 2019 Fire and Ice Festival Cornhole champion.
How do I go?
Well, I should say, on behalf of the city, it doesn't matter if it's cornhole or broom ball, I'll come out and play. But the city plays Oakland County normally in a game of broom ball, which is like hockey, except you play with brooms and a ball and no skates.
It's ugly. And your neighbor here, James Vitrano, former city manager, broke his finger. I think former Mayor Cuthbertson broke his head. People broke all kinds of things.
It's a precarious game. Lots of slipping. As a matter of fact, the last time we played, our mayor pro tem scolded the
Yes,
winning goal,
she did.
the final,
That's right.
the final goal.
Jeff got out there, and people got a little carried away with this, like taking out.
It's a serious thing. And so, anyways, Michigan as it is, the weather wouldn't cooperate, and they needed a backup, and they were foolish enough to pick cornhole as the game. Which, if you stop in my garage, you'll see I reign supreme. And city manager Wing and I took it home for the city.
That was cool. It was first ever, and we love to rub this in the county's face, especially with what's going on up there now. We're really going to rub it in there, so that's another story. Blaine, wanted to remind you that you still have one of our jerseys in your garage here somewhere, and when you turn your keys in, you have to give us back the jersey.
I don't think I have a jersey.
Okay, he said you did, so all right. This is a tough question. What was your favorite ribbon cutting? As one of the duties of the mayor is he gets to do ribbon cuttings. What was your favorite one? Now this could backfire, so.
Favorite ribbon cutting? Boy.
See, I wanted to stump him on something.
I don't know that I could give you. Well, tell you what,
There's no wrong answer. You can just
I can't give you necessarily a favorite ribbon cutting. Although I will say the ribbon cutting that they do for the, in terms of memorable, for the gingerbread train. Have anybody seen that in the Royal Park Hotel?
Yeah.
Right, like that is a really holiday season kind of over the top kind of experience. But I'll say in terms of ribbon cutting or the similar officiant related responsibilities, my favorite has been tapping the keg for Oktoberfest.
I knew he'd get there.
That is a highlight that I can't tell you how excited I am to celebrate one more time this fall.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool duties. We'll talk about that in a minute. And perks that the mayor gets to do, and a council person gets to do.
That we get to do. Folks, there's no free parking. There's no pass on my water meter. There's very small amounts of perks.
His street usually gets plowed first if the neighbors didn't notice that. Just kidding.
I don't know, Chip. Does it get plowed? It does?
Okay. There you go. All right. So, which ribbon cutting did you really appreciate being able to pass off that duty to Council Pro Tem, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thankfully, Pro Tem lives and works like in the area. There's not one that I would say that I was necessarily happy about passing off. It's just working in Farmington Hills makes it hard to get back here, at 4:00 when they schedule these ribbon cuttings. It becomes very problematic, especially back to that three-legged stool, right? If you're trying to juggle a profession. Fortunately, my partners are very understanding in terms of my responsibilities to the city. They never bat an eye when I need to leave, but you try and balance that list of requests, those asks, that I'm going to leave again early, that I'm going to go cut another ribbon, and pretty soon everybody's rolling their eyes like, oh, Mayor Rob's got to go do something else. And they're like, okay. So fortunately, we have fantastic council members in city administration that are willing to step in, because I don't think those should ever be shortchanged in terms of attention, because that is a meaningful investment in our community. It's somebody that's voting with their dollar. They could go to any city and open a business, but they're choosing our city, and so they should never feel shortchanged or short-sighted in the sense that, we didn't, we're not as big as whatever business. Every business owner should receive the same attention.
See, I thought you were going to say the proctologist colonoscopy place that you make him.
No, that was the one I sent you to.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. I forgot. He does do that sometime. So let's talk a little bit about boards and commissions. And the backbone of a community is those folks. And hopefully, and a lot of the folks work their way up through boards and commissions to get to an effective leadership and the chance to run for city council, where you have to be elected. So what does that mean to you? And the people that serve, how do you feel about them?
I don't know the count on the number of boards and commissions, but in terms of volunteers, it ranges somewhere between 130 to 160 people in the community that donate somewhere between 13 and 14,000 hours a year in terms of service to the community. And for all the pomp and circumstance, but whatever the pageantry that comes with city council, which is certainly an iceberg in terms of responsibility. There's a lot that lies under the water. Our boards and commissions are really the heart of the community in terms of getting work done. I've had the privilege of serving on a number of them, and they all each have their respective parts, but those I think are really the quiet volunteers that do a lot of meaningful work that we only get to see at a very high level and don't get a chance to really appreciate the conversations and the coffees and the emails and the dialogues and all, sort of like any finished project, all the work that kind of goes into making that until it's at its end, and then we naturally think like, oh, well, that was easy. No, not really.
So the mayor does once a month a coffee with the mayor at the OPC. So who's your favorite person at the OPC when we have coffee with the mayor? Like an attendee, let's say.
Attendee?
Give somebody a shout out. But then you're gonna have to give me a shout out who you wish never showed up at that thing once a month.
Give somebody, it's a relatively predictable crew. In terms of people, I don't want to call out favorites and then people that wouldn't.
This is a politician. He said he wasn't a politician. Listen to this.
No, listen. That's not being a politician. That's like saying, like, well, who's your favorite kid?
Exactly.
What parent's going to answer that question? Well, maybe some would. Right? Yeah.
I answer my own. Stephanie. In my family, it's Stephanie.
Yeah, but no, it's.
Dr. Devin? Yeah, not so much. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry about that. But anyway, we do a coffee with the mayor, and actually, if outside of the coffee with the mayor, I can see my email getting flooded after saying this. But generally, I'm agreeable to a coffee almost any time. So it's never precluded me from meeting with somebody opening a business or a resident that wanted to talk about something, some pet project, or the like.
So Councilman Jovenelli always says, one of his sayings that he has many of them, it will say, hey, my kids are going to be sitting up here someday making this decision, so I want to leave this a place for that. Would you encourage your children to take the same route?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a sense of ownership that comes from volunteering. I forgot the name of the book, but it's the who will help me make the bread, who will help me churn the seed, who will help me make the, that whole sort of thing. And then, well, who will help me eat the bread? And then everybody shows up and you're like, well, you didn't help me, Not that.
I don't know. Do anybody know what he's talking about? I haven't.
Everybody knows the book? Okay, everybody knows the book.
Little Red Riding Hood? Something like
No. Little Red Hen?
Oh,
Okay.
well, that's close.
Right. So, not that, service demand or suggests citizenship, but it's an investment in the community that, I think I personally, as a resident, I have a greater appreciation for what. I mean, before I ran for city council, I just thought that garbage got picked up, right? I mean, it's like magic. You just put the boxes out, and then the truck comes by and picks up, and what else is there to talk about?
Until they don't.
Oh, there's a whole lot to talk about, and never mind, a water main break, like, I don't know, does somebody just come out and fix? Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes out. Or, it's the ice cube analogy. Whatever you think something is, it's probably 10 to 20 times as more involved. And as a resident, not only is it great from an educational perspective to understand what really goes into it, but as a taxpayer, I feel more confident. I've joked with Summer. I said, if we ever moved, I would become the Steve Zoke of
gosh.
other.
We love Steve.
Yeah, because I would be the guy showing up in City Hall with a list of 20 questions, wanting to know, like, what are the, how are you funding your infrastructure? Where's your OPEB funded? All these things, because as a taxpayer, you were ultimately the payer of last resort, right? I mean, if something right up there in Logger Circle really bad happened, water main break, something like that, we gotta fix it. We, assuming we're all residents here, we all have to pay, right? I mean, that's the nature of the game. We didn't fund our pension correctly. We all have to pay. Oh, Mr. McGillicuddy, you just bought a house 2 days ago. Sorry, you gotta pay because we didn't make a good decision 30 years ago. It's all of a sudden here. We gotta pay. I am fortunate, as I think really all my other council members are, to kind of stand on the shoulders of giants in that we have had intelligent, purposeful leadership, both on council, but boards and commissions, city administration, the like, get us to this point that it kind of makes it I don't want to say it's easy, but it's just like, don't mess it up, right? You got a good thing. This isn't the city, and I don't mean anything just, but it's not like, pick any other city in southeastern Michigan, and whatever woes they have, this is the city of Rochester. I mean, we're doing front porch stuff. I mean, how awesome is that? We're not worried about, are we going to be able to make the next retiree payment or turn on the lights, so anyway, I don't know.
And I think that's kind of a little bit about I guess the perks of the job. So it could be a negative, but I know you don't see it this way, that as a public servant, if the water main's broken, they're gonna call you first if they don't know the number at City Hall, and why isn't my garbage picked up? And I know the support, we as staff, we appreciate that all of our council that is sitting presently won't call and yell and assume something's wrong. We all try to make things better. Chief Cisa coined our fire chief coined a phrase called turning up the politeness. Other communities, they come down with a hammer on you. And in Rochester, we turn up the politeness. We try to work together as a team. And that came from leadership. You guys directed us that way. That's how we want it to be portrayed. And I think you're part of that. So what perks, I call them perks, but what things will you miss about being mayor? Or a council person, both. So. $250,000 a year.
Yeah, my rich retirement pension that's coming.
The pension, yeah. Health care for life.
Right.
Optical, dental.
Yeah. No, the thing. So I think it's actually relatively okay or whatever. I wouldn't be too off base. So I would couch my statement in that I'm not going to miss anything. And normally that would sound like I can't wait to go. But the thing that I would miss most is the people. But I'm not going to lose my connections with my people, right? My friends, the people I've met through administration, boards and commissions, volunteers, and all that sort of stuff. Leaving doesn't mean that those connections somehow get severed. So inclination is that without title, those people that have made lifelong friendships will stay. And the next would be, my involvement in the city. I don't really see, although, again, without the requirement of going to city council meetings and actually being home for dinner on a Monday night, it would be a nice change. I'll still be involved in the community. So I don't see my sense of purpose changing much. So in a lot of respects, I'm not going to miss much.
I appreciate that. Talk about, Chrissy wants us to wrap it up pretty quick here because we're going to have questions and stuff. Yeah. So
I got two totally unofficial stories I have to get off my chest.
You can.
Just that are totally non-mayor related. Okay.
So, because I know this, I saw your eyes light up when we talked about you get involved with, and we're very proud of our adjacent mayor, Mayor Brian Barnett, who is now the mayor of all mayors in the United States, and he's taking advantage of that for our community, our region, and we're going to have all the mayors from the country invited. I think it's headquartered at the Royal Park, and he's co-sponsoring that with Mayor Dugan in Detroit, and we're going to get an opportunity to flex little muscles to people around the country and bring in all the mayors from around the country to come to this community. And I know, Rob, you got to go to Washington. You tried to get to go to Hawaii. Kim voted no. Ann voted no, I think. So, well, Ann voted yes. She's saying she voted yes. Okay.
Yeah, Ann voted, yeah.
But, so that's where Brian was sworn in, but Rob took the more reasonable route, and he went to Washington. How cool was that?
It was neat. So they have this, it's called the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and it's an organization, they like a professional organization, but for mayors. So it's a little bit different in my realm because I have another profession and I kind of volunteer as a mayor. There are other mayors, like a lot of mayors, that is their job. So it's their professional association. And they had a winter conference in Washington, D.C., which for the first time the city of Rochester joined, with the support of city council, joined the U.S. Conference of Mayors, this national organization, and went out. And politically speaking, you kind of walk in and it's just a sea of people from different communities, big and small, and I just it was just amazing. It was absolutely inspiring, and when you talk to another mayor from another city, you find out that it's a little bit of a game of like whack-a-mole, if you can imagine. Like you got 20 issues, and you figured out how to address maybe 15 of them, but there's 5 that you're trying to figure out. And then you go talk to another mayor, and they got their 15, but they're still trying to figure out 5. And one of those 5 is one of the 15 that you figured out. I said, oh, hey, man, let's go. I know all about that. Like, come here, come on, sit down. Let's talk about that. And it's crazy to think on a national level stuff like that happens in situations like that, but it does. So I got a chance to take Rochester to a national stage, and on 2 occurrences, I was talking to an attorney and somebody else, and I said, Rochester, and they're like, they say the city with the lights. I said, yeah, and I said they're big and bright, right? They're like, yeah. And both times they come to the city annually or like every 2 years. One is son that I think lives in Clawson, and anyways, he comes in to visit for the holidays, and they come up and they make it a point, like in the other one, they have dinner at the Chapa. I don't want to get into plugging restaurants, but then it's like a whole family thing, and they come up and they see the lights and the whole sort of stuff, and it's like people know this little sleepy, hometown of Rochester on a national stage for something like that. So yeah, it's been a fantastic. Actually, they just sent out an email. The president wants to meet with mayors of Rochester, or just me.
Good luck with that.
Mayors of like Michigan, Wisconsin, or Michigan, and like 2 other states in October. And I saw the email. Like I said, I just got back from vacation, but it's a really interesting organization. And yes. Mayors from around the country will literally be on our front porch this fall.
Well, welcome. All right, 2 stories. Go ahead.
2 stories. So I was trying to think about stories I could tell you that are not mayorally related and are appropriate, and the 2 are musically related. And if you don't want to hear them, tell me. If you do, let me know.
Just get up and leave. It's no problem.
You just pack up your chairs.
Grab a cookie on the way out. Taylor, can you let me? Yeah.
But my 2 stories involve Stevie Wonder and Aerosmith. Any interest?
Yeah.
Okay. 4 people are going to be staying for the story. Everybody else is going to be leaving for the
3 say yes.
Right. So these are probably like my 2 favorite stories I like to tell. The first is Stevie Wonder. So both involve my time when I was a college student, and I worked for Bose Corporation, the speaker company. And at the time, they had a store in Somerset Collection, and I was there, and I remember it was an evening, and this big, imposing, and I'm scanning the audience looking for someone that might resemble the gentleman. No.
Bill LaPuma?
No. Love Bill. The guy was probably 2 times the size of Bill. This big guy in a suit and tie with a ponytail walks in and just posts at the door, like stands at attention, almost like military style. I was thinking like, what is this? What is happening? And then in comes this other guy, and then the guy at the door turns and like blocks off the door into the store, so nobody can theoretically come or go. And I didn't know who this guy was. And then in walks Stevie Wonder. And I'm looking at the door like, you gotta be kidding me. This is Stevie Wonder. What is going on? And he walks in, and I walk up. I didn't know what else to say to him, so I was like, welcome to Bose, Mr. Wonder. I didn't know what else to say. And so
We didn't say some of the things I think people would say.
So the bodyguard, I guess, was like keeping people from coming in the store, and he had like an assistant that was with him. And I just remember this guy had a huge fanny pack. It was like all of Stevie's stuff that he carried, like his wallet, his credit cards, his item, like whatever he needed was in this huge fanny pack. And I just thought, like, this is so awkward. Like, 1970 call, like, get rid of the fanny pack. It wasn't leather. So,
I should throw mine away.
Yeah, you should throw yours away. So anyways, we get to talking, and I find out the reason why he's there is he had this radio. It was called, this isn't a Bose commercial, it was called an acoustic wave. And apparently Stevie Wonder had one of these radios, one of these Bose radios, like everywhere he went. It was in his like Florida home, his New York place. He had it everywhere. Because the reason was because when he went to listen to music, the buttons were all the same. So no matter where he was, he knew how to listen to a CD, adjust the volume. There weren't, acoustic dials and all this. It was just like simple plug and play sort of stuff, right? So they're like, so he wanted to buy one. So, okay, I'll send you one. And the guy's checking out, with his fanny pack, and he's pulling out Stevie Wonder's credit card, and he's paying
Probably
for it.
illegally, and
and this is at the time, I don't know, it's like 2001, 2000. This is when MP3 players first came out, right? And one of the first manufacturers was a company called Rio, and they made this MP3 player that was like this big. It was like this big, and it was like 1 gig. It was like just something so ridiculous. And we had a pair of headphones set up to it, and I still remember the guy says, hey Stevie, check this out. And he turns around to go pay for this. I'm like, you just told Stevie Wonder to check something and you didn't tell him what it was.
that's a horrible story.
Well, no, it gets better because he's standing there and Stevie's just standing there like staring into space. And I walk up and I'm Mr. Wonder, this is Mr. Wonder, this is an MP3 player. And he said, well, what is that? And I go in to try and describe it, and there was these headphones. And I put the headphones on him, and I start trying to tell him how it works. And the guy like looks over his shoulder, and he comes back. He's like, no, he doesn't understand what you're saying. You have to like teach him. So he puts Stevie Wonder's hands on top of my hands, holding the MP3 player, and he's like, now he'll understand how to move the buttons, right? And I'm like 19, 20 years old, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I got Stevie Wonder's hands on my hands. And I'm gonna teach him something. So I'm telling him like, this is how you play and pause. And this is how you shuffle through stuff. And I remember I played. If anybody likes jazz, you asked me about music. If you like jazz, there's a group called Tom Scott and the LA Express. It's a jazz group. The name of the album was Smoke. I still remember it. It was called Smoking Section. It was the title track, Smoking Section. I played for him, and there's this like sax intro, and as soon as I started playing, he started doing his like his head thing, and he's just started jamming, and his hands are still on my hands. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to tell a crowd of people this story.
No, you did.
Yeah.
Did I
So,
tip you with Stevie's money?
no. So they finished up the transaction. The big dude at the door walked out, and I carried the stuff out to a limousine, put it in the truck, and you're in the trunk. It's
Did you check your pocket for your wallet or anything?
See you later, Mr. Winter.
How about Aerosmith?
Aerosmith. So this is the cherry on top story. So it actually just celebrated its 16th anniversary. Who remembers the power outage of 2003? Everybody remembers that? Okay. So it's
Amanda didn't raise her hand. She wasn't even born, I don't think.
We use that story for profiling purposes. So it's 2003, and the year prior, you asked me about favorite bands. One of Summer's favorites is Aerosmith, and I remember I got tickets for general admission floor, and we got there and we went out to the catwalk and we saw them play. And big thing, they performed and. No. The guitarist, Joe Perry. Joe Perry walked by, and everybody was slapping the strings. Like, that was mine, but, touched the strings of the guitar, whatever. So they go through, and anyways, fast forward a year. It's 2003. I'm back in the Bow Store, and this guy walks by, and he looks so out of place. Like, he is wearing the skinniest jeans a man would ever wear. And I still remember they were black, and he had this long, flowing blonde hair, and it was I think it was Steve Hamilton, the bassist. Yeah. And he walks by. Now, granted, to me, he looked shorter because I was on the catwalk looking up, remembering what he looked like, and now I'm standing foot to foot with the man, and he's not 6'3", so he looks shorter as he's walking by. And he walks by, and just he's slow, like, I think I know. And then I look, and then Joey Kramer, the drummer, walks by, and I'm thinking, like, these cats are not dressed like normal people. Like, they gotta be somebody. And so they start walking, and I walk up to Steve Hamlin, I go to shake his hand, and I say, like, are you? And he says, yeah, I am. And he which didn't square terms of any story. Yeah. And so anyways, we talked, and they were in to buy some stuff, and so anyways, they bought some stuff, both of them did, and they were there with their tour manager. And they buy some stuff, and they said, we're still doing some shopping, can we leave this stuff here? Sure. So they take off, they leave, and boom, power's out, right? Power's gone. And we're just standing, and I still remember looking out. If anybody's been to Somerset Collection, you know the two elevators that go up and down in the center? Frozen between mid-floors. The people in there can't get out. And you know what everybody thought it was? 9/11 all over again. Because what were they trying to do? They were trying to call people on their cell phones. Cell towers went down, right? Yeah. No power, no nothing, and everybody's going, not crazy, but the people in the elevator were kind of going crazy. But we're all standing around thinking, like, well, the power's going to come back at some point. And so we're waiting around, and the power ain't coming back. And the Aerosmith guys come back, and they're sitting on this bench, and this crowd is, like, growing, right? Because there's nothing else to do. You can't go anybody. You can't go anywhere. But there's people from Aerosmith, right? And it's, like, growing. And then we unlock the doors, and they come in, and we're like, oh yeah, here, we'll grab your stuff. And they're like, well, do you know what's going on? I'm like, no, we don't know what's going on, whatever. And I still remember the tour manager says, I hate to ask, but could we commandeer one of your, and I had been to the back room and was back with my car keys. And they're like, can we commandeer one of your employees to drive us back to the Townsend Hotel? I was like, jingle, jingle, that's me. So the store manager looks at me, and I think I've already committed, so you can't say no because it's Aerosmith, right? What are you gonna say? No, we can't say. So they're like, okay. And so they grab the key, and we walk out into the parking structure, we get in the car,
You had an electric car and it wouldn't start.
No. It was at that time I had a Pontiac Grand Am GT Coupe, 2-door, very, very nice for a college student. Oh God. And anyways, I'm fitting bags from Prada. And all this stuff in my trunk. I'm thinking, this trunk is never going to see these shopping bags ever. And here we are stuffing them all in there. And this Scott Hamilton guy is a relatively tall guy. So I got 3 people tucked in this coupe, and we're all crammed up. Start the car and start to go on. Now, for those that need help connecting the dots, if you remember, the power outage happened to coincide with the Dream Cruise. So everybody remember that? Right, so it was the Dream Cruise. So we get in the car, and we come out of the parking garage, and I remember seeing the chef from California Pizza Kitchen standing outside Somerset in Big Beaver directing traffic, because the light was out. So he's in his like poofy hat, and he's doing like the Bronx like police guy. He's like signaling guys, and I'm thinking like, are you seeing it? And then they're like, is that guy like a chef? I'm like, yeah, he's from California Pizza Kitchen.
That's how we go down in Detroit.
Yeah, and so he's doing this, and we get out, and we're stuck, and I start seeing all the cars piled up on Big Beaver, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, that's right, it's the Dream Cruise. This is like the worst case scenario for cars. And I look down at my dash, and the gas light's out. And that's exactly what I did. I kind of cried inside because I'm thinking like, there is no, like the universe cannot align in a way that I have Aerosmith in my car and I'm almost out of gas. There's no power in the Eastern Seaboard and it's Dream Cruise weekend. I'm not getting anywhere. And so we eventually got, I have no choice but to drive this until the car dies. That's when I'm gonna cash out my chips and be like, sorry dude, we gotta walk, you know. So we get on Big Beaver, and as we're driving, they start pointing out car. They know a lot about cars, and so Scott, I think, collects Ferraris, and Joey Kramer collected Porsches. And they're talking about like the cars they collect, and I'm asking them all these like insightful questions because I kind of feel like it's like a Jimmy Kimmel like scenario. I got them locked in my car. I can kind of ask them whatever I want. Something. They're like, well, you guys have families. Like, how do you travel? Isn't that hard? And like, yeah, you know, it is really hard. And they're like, well, you guys are Aerosmith. I got to believe it's really hard, right? Shows a lot of stories there. And they didn't dive deep. They didn't bite. And so, anyways, we're going. They're talking about collecting cars and yada yada yada. And the whole time I started crying again inside because if you remember, this is like the time when the Motorola, so many things. This is like a time of first. Does everybody remember the Motorola Razr phone?
Oh, yeah.
The flip phone? Okay, so this is when like that phone first came out. And I didn't bite because again, I'm a college student. I'm thinking like, who wants a phone or a camera on their phone? That's the dumbest thing. Like, wouldn't you just use a camera to take a picture? Except for when you have Aerosmith in your car and you want to take a picture to prove it. Right? So I'm thinking like, I just signed a new 3-year contract for a Nokia, whatever. And I'm like, I don't have a camera to take it. Like, Summer is never going to believe me that I'm here. That this is happening. So we're driving and you know, they're talking. I'm like, oh yeah, well, you know, I recognize you guys because I took my girlfriend to see your concert last year when you were at the Palace. We were right down at the catwalk, and Joe Pira came by and played the strings. And I said, you know, you guys are in town? They're like, yeah, we're playing with Kiss and Ted Nugent at Comerica Park, if you guys remember this. And I said, oh yeah, you know, I was thinking about, you know, getting tickets, but you know, I'm gonna lay it on a little thick. I'm like, this is the thing. I said, you know, gosh, I spent everything I had to get like those tickets last year. I couldn't afford it this year. And my girlfriend, you know, loves you guys, and you know, all sort of stuff.
Thanks for the ride, Rob.
I said, yeah, see, you know, check it out. Now, this is at the time when also burning music on CDs was like a new, so it wasn't so like judgy. So I'm like, oh yeah, check it out. And I played this, and it was a burn song, Aerosmith. But it was because I had it in the car, and it just kind of goes quiet. And then the tour manager says, well, you've been really nice this whole time. Would you like some tickets to our concert? It's like, would I? Absolutely. So he says, okay, well, tell you what, when we get back, I'll give you my contact information and I'll get you tickets, right? So I was like, wow, I think it was Ted or Jim. I'm like, thank you so much. We get back to talk. And this is right when we got to Woodward. And I was thinking like, oh my God, I just got free tickets. Just get me across Woodward because Dream Cruise, right? Somehow, I don't know if Moses showed up or something, but like the Red Sea parted. And I remember I think it was a Birmingham cop, opened up the line.
I'd be Shettenhelm at the time.
Yeah, and I got across Woodward, and I'm thinking like, I am on fumes, coasting to the Townsend, right? I'm thinking, okay, I got to get this deal across the line. I just got to get these guys to the Townsend. So anyways, we pull up to the Townsend, and it's kind of like pandemonium. I pull up in front of the Townsend, which the entrance is on the south side of the building, if you've been there. We pull up, and there's nobody there. I pull up, and Steven Tyler is standing outside the Townsend. Now, let me set the stage. It's like 95 degrees outside, right? There's no electricity. Even the Townsend doesn't have AC. He comes out in these like capri-length jeans that, again, were way too tight, a tank top, and like these necklaces and like a feather in his hair. I mean, again, it was just like something you couldn't, and these big sunglasses. And it was just something like, this guy obviously is not a regular. He walks out, and I stop the car, I get out, have to flip the seat forward, and they like pile out and walk around. And he comes on, he looks, and he sees us, and he walks forward, and he stops, and he says,
Where the F have you guys been?
And they look at him, and they said, like, we've been with Rob Ray. And he goes,
Who the F is Rob Ray?
and I'm standing on the driver's side of the door, and I just wave. And I just wave, and he goes,
Hey, Rob Ray.
and the guys go to the back of the car, and they grab their stuff, and they pull out their bags, and he's like, yeah, there's no power. He's like, Joey's in his, because everybody's got their own RV. He's like, yeah, Joey's in his thing. He's the air conditioning. We've been trying to call you guys. And like, we know, we've been trying to call you. And he's like, well, nobody's, this whole sort of thing. And the tour manager's like, here's my cell phone, concert's canceled, yada, 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 just keep in touch, we'll take care of it. So I stop at a gas station and then go home, right? That was the only way I was gonna get home. And time goes by, anyways, they come back, I'm texting the guy and with my non-camera phone, and super responsive. He's like, these are the tour dates, we're coming back this time, we'll take care of you. They're in town, they play Comerica, they're like, come up, your name's at will call. He left us front row tickets. Yeah, front row tickets. Now, I still remember, and Summer probably remember, we were standing in front of a bank of speakers like this tall.
Bose speakers.
No, they weren't Bose. And they were like this tall, and we were a foot away. And we were just like barely seeing. And, he got us backstage passes. So anyways, we go, and the whole time I'm telling Summer this, and I'm just waiting. I'm like, these guys have to come back. She's never going to believe me if we don't actually go to the concert. So we get there, and he got backstage passes. We go back. And he's like, oh, hey, it's great this is Summer. We heard so much about you in the car, thankfully with air conditioning, yada, yada, yada. It's all true. He drove us back to the Townsend, blah, blah, blah. And we go back, Joe Kramer and Scott Hamilton, and we're talking. He's like, oh, yeah, he's like, thank God he had AC. There was no room in the car, blah, 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 blah. And I started thinking, I'm like, oh my God, this is the reason why they put, again, cameras and phones for when you forget to bring a camera in your backstage with Aerosmith so you can take a picture so people believe you. And I'm like, thank God I got one accomplice. I got one witness to this thing. So anyways, we say hello, we go to the concert. They play, Ted Nugent opens up, Kiss comes out, and they're loud, and we can't hear 5 minutes into the thing. And Aerosmith comes on, and Scott Hamilton, they're playing, and Scott Hamilton comes over, and he kind of does this bass, like, guitar dip, kind of like to acknowledge us, because we were, like, waving, like, creepy fans, you know, like, remember me, I was driving the funny. And, you know, and then Joey Kramer does this, like, drumstick twirl, yeah, and the looks, and so, all right, I'm wrapping up. So anyways, long story short, Jim or whatever, the tour manager's walking behind the stage, and, you know, we wave, and he waves from behind stage, and then this group of like 6 or 8 women say like, how do you know him? And I said, it's a long story. And they're like, no, seriously. I'm like, well, you know, I remember that power outage. We drove back to the Town's End. And they're like, you're Rob Ray? I said, yeah. And so like, that's my brother. He told you that, or he told that story over Thanksgiving dinner.
I love it, absolutely.
So anyways, that's the end of my Aerosmith story.
I know, I love that. So what's cool about the Front Porch Stories is Bill LaPuma was telling inappropriate stories about Frank Sinatra and how he served the mafia and stuff, and we have Rob hanging out with Aerosmith, so who knows what Pat's going to do at the next one. So Mayor, any thing you want to wrap up with? When Christy and I go speak someplace, we always end with, hey, community, thank you for support, get involved. You know, the only way to make a change in the community is get involved. So I know that's how you got started. Any words of wisdom for these folks?
I don't know. I don't have any words of wisdom other than to encourage you to do the things that I do on a daily basis, which is wave to your neighbors as they drive by, every single one of them, to go knock on a front door and meet old neighbors or new ones. Fences don't make good neighbors. People do. If you have kids, encourage them to do stuff like that and run through neighbors' backyards and just and be wild. And to find a place to get involved. Certainly the fabric of a community is defined by its people. And the more that we can get involved, the better off we'll all be.
Great. So how about a round of applause for Mayor Ray? So it's been a pleasure. We're not done yet. We've got a few months to go, but it's been a pleasure serving with you, and I'm honored to be able to spend time with you. So, yeah, Christy, thanks for putting the show on. We'll see you at the next one, which is
September 12th.
September 12th at the Van Hoosen Museum. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Grab the cookies, and Taylor doesn't want to take anything back. So.